Well, I think not being driven for 4 years, the turbo has left the chat. It is absolutely seized, completely seized. Hey everybody, hope you're all well as always, and welcome to some random bloke that works on cars in his driveway. So I hope everyone's doing well because we're almost sort of coming to the end of the stage 4 restrictions in Melbourne, so now it's time to sort of put my foot down and get some things done. So in this episode, it's very close to my heart because I'm going to be getting something on the road that I haven't driven for a long time, and it's probably the most sentimental thing that I own. In this episode, we're going to be getting this thing behind me back on the road. Now you can see it's got plates on it. It is not registered. It has not been registered for about 4 years. It's dusty. She needs some love. I'm going to be pulling it out of the garage, and we're going to be doing a couple of things to get it ready for roadworthy, which is next week. Already got the club reg sorted. That's all done. So it's going to be on club plates, just like the Skyline. So it'll be on the club registration. And we also have the Skyline there ready because we've got some things to do to that today as well. But first, we're going to be focusing on this. What we have to do first is bring it out. I just put 20 litres of 98 in a jerry can so we can pull it out, fill it up with fuel, and maybe take it for its first drive in about 4 years. I do move it in and out of the garage. I do start it here and there. Hasn't really been driven for it's probably 3.5 to 4 years I haven't driven it properly. So it'll be really exciting to get this thing back on the road. Now, I haven't had this car for nearly 8 years. It is my first car, my pride and joy. I bought it when I was 16, and back then you can get them for about $1,000 and then me and my dad built it, painted it, put a forged SR20 setup in it, and yeah, so I'll show you more of that and we'll pull it out of the garage. All right, now you can see we have her out. There's Skyline 180, so it's a bit of an Oreo at the moment. You can really see how standard she looks at the moment, but let's have a look under the bonnet. Fantastic. So here we have our very standard looking SR20 DET. Now this engine has about just under 3,000 Ks on it because I got it rebuilt in 2014. I think, yeah, 2014. We put forged pistons in it. We did a lot of work to it. I got the list inside. I might read it out later, but it cost me a lot of money to build. But back then you can get these engines cheap. I got this engine with the entire Sylvia for $500, and it's a genuine turbo motor as well. So back when I got my license, you couldn't drive club reg cars on P plates. This thing had to be completely standard to drive it on my Ps. So I put it in mum's name. I registered it in my mum's name, so it was her car, and drove it around on my P plates. So I had it as stock as possible, just with this pod filter on, and we had a boost T down here. It was tuned on 14 PSI, and it made 179 kilowatt. And that's an S15 side mount, everything like that. So it made pretty good power for what it is. T28 turbo. That's about it for performance mods. But everything inside that motor is ready to go, so it'll probably be good for about 400 kilowatts. So once we put some go fast bits on it, it should really liven this thing up. You can see my fan shroud over there's looking a bit sad. But yeah, first thing we have to do for roadworthy is, you can see at the front here, we're leaking out the cam rocker cover gasket and the cam seals. Well, these are called the moon seals. So engine bay wise, there's nothing crazy. We did repaint it 2-pack gloss black to make it look nice, and then when the engine was rebuilt, you can see the side of the block, it's brand new, but the front of the block here is seen better days. It leaks out the rear moon seals as well, so we're gonna fix that. So I'll pop the strut brace off and then do the rock cover gasket. Shouldn't be too hard. We've got the GK Tech overflow bottle. This is an old school one, so got that years and years ago. We've got the strut brace, just like a Chinese one, I think. Not much else going on. I've ordered some other stuff from GK Tech. I've got a throttle wheel coming. I've got a couple of other things. That's where the boost gauge used to be. S14 radiator and factory sunroof as well. Woohoo! But she's very dusty. She needs a clean. Look at that. But first we'll get started on this, and I'm gonna put 20 litres of fuel in it, and then we can probably take it for a little bit of a drive around the block as well. So let's get into it. First we'll take the strut brace off. Oh, Jesus Christ. And once you pop your vacuum hoses off here, pop these little bastards out, your coil packs, and keep them in the same orientation they came out, just so it runs right when you put it back together. Now I've buzzed the nuts off, so now you can see these little washers here. These are things you don't want to lose, so stick a pair of pliers under there and sort of grab them both. There'll be a rubber little thing under the washer that sits in the rock cover, and you don't want to lose them. So just try to get them all out with pliers, and if one drops, you want to make sure it hits the freaking ground. Once you've undone all the bolts like that, sometimes I just give it a very light tap with the rubber mallet. You can see already it's wanting to shift across, and then if we lift it, there we are, it's coming undone. So I'm gonna need 2 hands now, so I'll put the camera down and we'll pop it off. There we go. Now that's off. You can sort of see that I'm not lying when I said it's only got a couple of thousand Ks on it, because yeah, it looks brand new. So the reason I took the rock cover gasket off is because usually, even by the factory standards, you really need to silicone these moon seals because they do leak past the moon seals, and these ones were leaking on the back of the rock cover, or the back over here. And I think that's probably why, right there. Didn't even see that. So probably when they've installed it, they've pinched it or something like that, because it was leaking pretty bad out the back there. So with the new gasket, I'm going to just run a little bit of silicone. I'll probably run a little bit of silicone on the mating surface where it sits on. That's where they leak the most. So I'll go get the other gasket out, make sure it's the same one, and then happy days. Cool, so we've still got that old gasket in that one, and then this one's our genuine new Nissan rock cover gasket for SR20. I've made sure that all the bends are the same. It's obviously a little bit distorted because it came in packaging, but seems to be sweet. Now what we're going to do is pull the old one off, which shouldn't be hard because it's pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much new. And then we're going to put the new one in and then put some silicone on the moon seals and then put it on. Hopefully no more leaky loos. There's something just so satisfying about just like sitting a new gasket into its, you know, new little home, especially when it just clicks into place properly like that. And it's always good when it's the right gasket too. A lot of the times, for God's sakes. Okay, now I'm not interrupted by a phone call. My mate is actually coming over to drop a carbon bonnet for this. I'm not going to be putting it on, it's going to be more for track days, but I'll show you that when it gets here. Yeah, this gasket is sitted on quite exquisitely. Now all you have to do is just go over it and make sure it all sits in there properly, because when you go to tighten it down, you don't want any of it pinching and then tearing, sort of like our old one did in this back corner, which is probably why it was leaking so bad. Ooh, what's that? Looks like a falcon. Oh, I heard a dose. Looks like we have a visitor. Hello. Alrighty guys, so some time has passed and a couple of my mates came over to visit, and my other mate Sean came and dropped me off some goodies. So we actually have the rock cover gasket and rock cover back on, and that's all torqued up to spec. When I mean torqued up, I mean snugged up with a ratchet and no torque wrench. And then over here we have a carbon bonnet, which I got dropped off. This is a D-Max bonnet, which was on my mate's 180, and like all the clear or the gel, whatever it is sort of cracked, so he gave it to me for nothing. It's a genuine carbon fiber bonnet. So this will be going on when we do track days. So it just gets a bit of heat out and get some bonnet spaces and that. So when we do some grip days, I'm not going to be drifting this, it'll be more grip days. So yeah, thank you Ushan, you mad dog, for that. He sold his 180. That bonnet fit absolutely perfect on his 180 as well. So yeah, back to this. This is looking really nice. So all we're going to do is just re-put this loom there, put all the vacuum lines together, and then start it. Hopefully no leaks. I'll just give this a bit of a clean down here with some degreaser, wipe it all down and make sure it's all good. We have everything together, so I didn't want to bore you with doing up bolts and crap like that. Just the same way it came off is the same way it goes back on. It's cable tied the loom back here because I don't have the existing bolts. And yeah, we're pretty much ready to go. So yeah, all we have to do now is put the strap brace on, but first I'm just going to test it, make sure it runs, and then yeah, Bob's your uncle. Such a quiet engine, isn't it? So quiet. We really got to liven this thing up, don't we? All right, we're live. I'm in the car. Fuel gauge is going up. I just put 20 litres of 98 in it. And going for our first drive. It's a bit nerve-wracking because I haven't driven this car in about 4 years, but it feels like I was here yesterday. Okay, it probably would have helped a lot if I plugged the airflow meter in. I think she's coughing a bit because she's running some old fuel, so hopefully the new fuel mix is in the tank. The second gear doesn't like it. Second gear doesn't like it. Third, fine. Woo. Don't know if you can hear the turbo flutter. I actually don't know how much boost I'm making. I've got the T all the way down, so hopefully it's not over boosting or anything. Third gear, it winds out fine. It's only first and second. Look. Yeah, that's weird. Weird as. Probably have to try a vacuum line or something. Alright guys, so I just got home. I don't know if you know what happened, but turning into like a couple more turns before home, there was a cop car. And what does it do? It turns down the street I turned down. So as soon as I got out of view of it, I just said, no, because I'm not registered. So yeah, I probably shouldn't have taken it out, and I should get a permit for it. So I need to get a permit anyway, take it to get roadworthy, but So the camera died through halfway explaining what happened just before, but I think I got the message across. But yeah, so lucky we didn't get pulled over. Cop an unregistered vehicle fine, even though it was in pretty much my street. Yeah, you can't ever always be too careful. So as I pulled in the driveway, the car actually died, and I found out that if I wiggle this pipe, the car runs a lot better and doesn't backfire. So I think that's our issue. We got a vacuum leak down there. There's like a little bung that comes out through this pipe that runs across here. So I think that's just popped out. So we'll take that off and fix it up, and the car should run much better. But other than that, pretty successful test drive. We cleared all the old fuel out of it, and looking forward to getting it registered. So I've run out of time today. It's gonna be dark shortly and I'm going to work. Tomorrow we'll probably kick off with this thing and start putting all the goodies on this thing we've got for you. So we'll see you tomorrow then. All right guys, so it is the next day, and I decided to work back on the 180 because after I brought it in the garage yesterday, I noticed it kept stalling. So I actually figured out what it was pretty easily. As soon as I moved this pipe, it'll start running right, and I realized that this little pipe that runs all the way to the intake pipe on the snout of the turbo was split at the bottom there. Luckily I had a spare from a CA18, because this used to be a CA18 car, so I had a spare one of these little lines because the old one's over there, and we fixed it. So I think we might actually take this for another drive and see if it drives a bit better. But yeah, so I'm just going to try and get this thing back out, and we'll take it for a little drive and see if we can actually get some proper boost and feel that little SR go psh psh. But now first I've got to move the LS Patrol and the 31 and get this big girl out. Back in the vehicle, and got a permit this time. Starts right up, sounds so much better than last time. So this car was factory auto, so even when you put it into reverse with manual, it has a reverse beeper. I love this car being stock height again because I don't scrape coming out the driveway. Okay, turbo's not spooling. These things in their vacuum lines. Yeah. 1 second, we'll be back. Not being driven for 4 years, the turbo has left the chat. So I checked everything, like all the vacuum lines, the boost lines, the charge pipes, just to make sure nothing was connected in the wrong way. And I've taken the snout off, and in here we have our turbo. And if we go to spin the fins, it is absolutely seized, completely seized. So yeah, fantastic. Poor thing hasn't been driven in so long. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll probably crack the oil feed line just to make sure that we're getting the right amount of oil pressure coming out of that feed line. So I think it's time for an upgrade. Now I've got a spare turbo over here, which is from my CA. So that might do the trick. This turbo is in good condition. It's not a genuine turbo, I don't think. I think it's just Chinese turbo. But that might work, but if it doesn't, we will have to go turbo hunting. But yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm gonna try and do some hunting and find out if we can use this turbo. If not, yeah, we're gonna have to try and chase up a turbo for it, but that's okay. That's all right. I'd rather it happen here in the driveway than out while we're driving. And like, it still drives around fine. It's just NA pretty much. So, oh well, at least it makes for a decent video. Well, I guess the next episode we'll be changing the turbo on this before we go get roadworthied. We could take it right now just to get a pass inspection, but I don't want it to, you know, damage it any further. I want to make sure it's getting the right amount of oil pressure too. That's the main concern. I know it's getting oil pressure because I checked the head, and well, I had the car running, just cracked the oil cap and just had a look inside, because you can see the little squirters in there that run across the cams. Make sure that they're filling up with oil in there. So yeah, oh well, that sucks, but what can you do? Oh well guys, that's an unfortunate end of this episode, but at the same time, we're going to be putting another turbo on it, which is exciting. That's cars for you. You got to challenge yourself and get past these things, but at the end of the day, it's all part of the game. Yeah, unfortunately our turbo's gone bye-bye. But yeah, occasionally when I did start it up, like over the 4 years it's been sitting, it did smoke a little bit out the exhaust, which is yeah, I think that's indicating maybe it had bad seals on the turbo or something, and it's just ran dry on our last little test drive. You could hear it spooling in a couple of clips when it wasn't running right, and it wasn't running right because of that vacuum leak. And then we got it running right, and the turbo said, "No, have a good day. I'm out. At least we got a cool carbon bonnet." Also, for everyone waiting for the GU build, we just got a high flow cat dropped off to us. So we're going to put that instead of the flex joiner in the middle, and then get our exhaust welded up. So I'm just waiting for that. So hopefully the GU will be done soon. We can get that thing registered too. So thank you so much for watching this episode, guys, on how to break cars. So to any new viewers, thanks so much for watching. If you hit the subscribe button, that'll help me out a lot. Hope you enjoy the little bit of content I'm putting out over lockdown. Fingers crossed we're out of it soon so we can go and have some fun. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. See you later.